Hello, Assalamu alaikum everyone. Juma Mubarak. We are glad to welcome you in today's session. Today is another very intriguing session that is on a very timely topic. We all know that we are living in the age of COVID, and COVID has impacted businesses. As a result, governments all over the world have introduced incentives. Similarly, the technological adoption has been changed manifold. The speed has increased tremendously. And beside that, there are now questions. What will be the future of the finance professionals? So today we have a very power-packed panel to discuss this and more in today's session. I'll begin by introducing us all. So the toughest part is first to introduce myself and my honorable guests. As you might already know, my name is Omer Zaheer Meer. I'm honored to be representing us on the Global Text Forum. I'm also a part of the editorial board of Policy Insights, publication of ACCA. Beside that, I'm also a part of the International Assembly and am honored to be assisting various policy teams on various initiatives. I'm also the twice serving unanimous and unopposed chair of MNP of ACCA Pakistan and the fourth time chair of its taxation subcommittee. I'm also honored to be chairing ACCA's Tax Clinic with the Lahore Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And I've been the chair. I would request our guests to please mute themselves while they are not speaking so we can keep the distortions to minimum and can unmute themselves when they are about to speak. So I'll continue with the intro. I've also been the chair of the liaison committee of Lahore Tax Bar for 4 consecutive terms and currently serving as the chair of the Finance and Economic Affairs Committee. Professionally, I'm honored to be the managing partner, taxation and corporate services at MLCC, that's Millennium Law and Corporate Company for you, which happens to be the pioneer ACCA and legal practicing firm in the entire region. And we were honored that the then ACCA president, Mr. Brian McHenry, specially flew to Pakistan to grant us the practicing license, practicing certificate. I'm also sitting on the board of several corporate entities, as well as a lot of think tanks, other professional associations, write in several English language dailies and research journals, spend a part of my schedule to give back to the profession and society, not just now for the last decade. Also, I'm a visiting lecturer at the top universities and promote ACCA and try to connect ACCA members and been doing that for the last decade. We'll talk more about that, but let me just also introduce our honorable guests that have joined us today. So we have a very good representation today. Mr. Tahir Sartaj might already be known to you. He is also another honorable member of the Member Network Panel of Pakistan. He is also the Wing Head Regulatory and Capital Adequacy Ratio Reporting, National Bank of Pakistan. He also chairs the Academia Committee of Pakistan's MNP and has a big passion towards learning and teaching and career counseling. Then, last but not the least by any means, we also have a young man joining us today from the UK, Mr. Shayan Ahmed Qureshi, who has been working at practicing a firm in the UK in the audit, accounts, and payroll section. And Shayan also has a passion towards contributing and would like to be more and more involved. And that is exactly the kind of passion that we appreciate, and we actually encourage our members to be more involved. Now that the introductions are out of the way, I think now it's time to move ahead towards today's session. But before that, let us quickly give a chance to our honorable guests to say hi to all the audience who have joined us today. So, Tahir, over to you.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and thank you so much for this session. It's a wonderful opportunity to speak in front of everyone and speak the heart of our out of our opinion and our everything which we are going to discuss today. Today we are going to discuss the technology adoption during this COVID-19 and the role of finance professional in the future. So looking forward.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tahir. Now over to you, Shayan. Would you like to add something? You need to unmute yourself, Shayan.
Hi everyone, sorry. Assalamu alaikum. This is a very good and learning session. We will be sharing our experiences and our further developments regarding the COVID situation, because it's COVID is here for almost 9 months and it's expected to be here for another 9 months as well. And they will be learning a lot from the questions, and I'll be learning a lot from Zaheer and Omer and Tahir.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, guys. Now, let's start. We'll begin with Shayan. So, Shayan, the first thing that we need to discuss is how COVID has impacted businesses across the globe. Since you have been working in the UK and are based there and keeping a close eye on the developments, how do you think COVID has impacted businesses in the UK? And what is your opinion? How effective were the incentives introduced by the British government to assist the businesses combat the economic repercussions? Over to you.
The COVID, like every part of the world, hurted the economy very badly. In here as well, because here they are mostly based, their GDP is mostly production based, and physical production of goods includes most of physical interaction as well. So wherever there is a companies which are non-technological based companies, they are the sectors that hurted very badly, that impacted very badly in here. The second sort of type of companies which are working here are tech companies, technological companies. They are, to that extent, they haven't been affected by the COVID that badly as the production companies. But yes, human interaction has been reduced very significantly, and which resulted in low production, low consumption, and which eventually impacted the businesses very badly. To counter this effect, the first trickle down effect would have to be on the employment sector, because if the business is not earning, so businesses would not be able to pay their wages, and that was the first big hurdle for the government to counter. So for this, they've adopted a very practical approach. Because the basic things are, the consumption is there, the production capacity is there. The issue is with the finances, and that is up till this COVID situation ends. So the first response from the government was introducing a furlough scheme. The furlough scheme was based specifically and targeted to the employment sector. They contributed the 80% of the salaries that has been paid by the businesses to the employees, just to stop the high rate of unemployment that could have occurred if they haven't introduced this scheme. Because according to an estimate, there is a 52 billion pounds of salaries that is paid monthly in UK, meaning thereby that a big chunk of resources are employed and driving their income from employment. So if they wouldn't have done this, there would have been lots and lots of unemployment. So they have done it outrightly. Then they have tried to reduce their support on this front and let the business start their operations by July and August. And by the end of October, they were planning to end the scheme. But they were keeping a very close eye on the situation of COVID, and the reported cases. And as they are, and it's, as you know, it's winter, and it's is supposed to be further increasing in the winters. So they have reintroduced this furlough scheme, and they have extended it to the December. This is the one end. The second end was because the businesses are not doing good, so they're having cash flow problems, which will trickle down. The other effect would be that nobody will be paying their creditors. So what they did, they have introduced an invoice discount facility with the in this part of the package. They have collaborated with the local banks and the Central Bank of England, and they have issued three different schemes. One is the invoice discount facility, which is to cater the effect of non-paying creditors, non-paying debtors. So if you give your invoices, they'll pay you to some extent, and the interest rates obviously are very reduced significantly to decrease the impact of the cash flows. The second impact was on the expenses, because if you don't have the money, you can't pay your expenses. So what they did, they have introduced two different sort of loan schemes. On these loan schemes, one is the short term to medium term, and the other one is a medium term only, and is for the small businesses and the medium businesses. For large businesses, there is not much, but still they have something to get a sort of cash injection in their business. So this is the whole overall package that they have defined, and they are still working a lot to manage the cash flows of every single individual, every single class of people, like self-employed, wages, business professionals, tech companies, non-tech companies, and I think they're doing good to cater to reduce the impact of businesses going into liquidation due to this COVID situation.
Thank you, Cheyenne, for a quick overview. Well, I think the measures have been quite similar in essence, not in substance, though, in Pakistan too. So the first thing that the government did was that a lot of people, there were two major issues, especially when the smart lockdowns happened. Number one was that a lot of people used to live on daily wages. So the government introduced a SAS program where they were given some money to the tune of 2 to 3 months kitchen expenses so they can survive the lockdowns. And the program was throughout the country, and millions of people benefited from that. It was the largest welfare program in the history of Pakistan. Secondly, what they did was the second major expense for many people is the rental, the house rent where they are living. So if they are in lockdown, they are not earning, how would they pay the rent? So the government introduced the law that no landlord would be able to ask the tenant for the rent or make them leave the house for the duration of the lockdown and 1 month after that. The third major incentive that they did was electricity bill on all commercial and industrial connection. Special package by the government was announced. So all the businesses being impacted by the lockdown had this particular amount. Basically, it was 3 months worth of their last year's electricity. So the amount of electricity they used last year for this duration of the lockdown was free for them, and free for them to use till October. So if they are not working now, or they are working partially, so they'll be using less electricity. So they can carry that forward till the end of that period, which was a major boost for the businesses. Then obviously the banks were also instructed to issue loans on discounted rate and much easier terms. And then a special package was announced for the construction industry, because construction industry is one of the major drivers of economy as well as employment in Pakistan. As if that wasn't enough, the agricultural sector, remember Pakistan is largely an agricultural economy still, so that was highly incentivized as well. And then obviously there was a total eradication of duty on the import of all medicine and equipment related to COVID-19, the mask, the security equipment, personal protection equipment, etc., etc. And there were many such other incentives. So as you can see, we believe that there's always room for improvement, but overall, these were very proactive steps, and they really helped to sustain the economy in a period when one of the larger economies in the region went as bad as to the shrinking of their GDP up to 25%, and still sitting at the level of the GDP shrinkage of almost 11%. Pakistan has been able to avoid the GDP shrinkage, instead maintain a growth, albeit meager, of 0.5%. But if you look in the perspective of the region where GDPs were seriously shrinking, it's been a massive success in that context. So these were some of the incentives that the government introduced to incentivize the businesses and the workers. So now that we have gone through this theme, Tahir, would you like to add anything about this? Something that you think can be added to complete the picture about how the businesses were impacted and what incentives were introduced and how they assisted the businesses?
Well, I'll answer the questions in two ways. First of all, I'll talk about the macro side. I have some facts from the technology side companies whose sales has tremendously increased post-COVID situation. Like cloud-based solutions is in trend, and SAP Pakistan has identified that their utilization of cloud-based computing is 10 times higher than the last 3 years ago. So, and not only that, the online businesses are basically in boom, and there are a number of companies who are selling online, like Price, OA.pk, like Telemark, like Daraz. Their sales has increased a lot. So, if the thing which has a negative side or negative impact on one sector, it also has a positive impact on the other sector. And not only that, this COVID situation has created an opportunity for businesses, for everyone, for every sector of the country to explore new areas to work on, right? Like there are, I mean, if I'm talking about work from home concept, so this has been introduced not only in the companies, it is also introduced in the schools, universities, and education institutes as well. The sale of the technology related products has gone higher and higher, and especially in the major cities of Pakistan, where the sales of these companies has gone up to 600% as well. So if this thing has created a trouble for one sector, it has created an opportunity for the other sectors as well. And this is the business side. Now let me talk about the State Bank side. State Bank has reduced the discount rate during this COVID situation, and they have introduced number of incentives to the banking industry and to other industries as well. They have relaxed so many requirements, like in the form of, since I'm from the banking side, so I can specify that they have reduced the CRR requirement, and now the government is also promoting the housing side as well, and State Bank of Pakistan is playing a very key role in that, and now they are actually asking the banks to support this sector and to keep a chunk, a valuable chunk in their advances for this housing sector. So no doubt this is a difficult situation, but at the same time we are watching that it's an opportunity for the other sectors as well.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tahir. That brings us to the next theme. I'm afraid you have already touched upon that though a bit. The next theme is the technological adoption. So basically, we have seen that the opportunities that you mentioned, and rightly so, came out from crisis. That's the human nature. You throw a challenge at us, and we will work to find a solution. That's by nature inherent. So there were things that we didn't believe would be possible so quickly, but that was a result of COVID. For example, working from home, even in developed economies, that was a rare phenomenon, and suddenly all over the world that came into fashion. Technology adoption, I mean, people were always asking for meeting in person, and compare that to all the Zoom and other apps we are using for conducting all the meetings using technology online. And even right now, when in Pakistan, COVID has largely receded, and although we are cautious about the precarious possible situation of a second wave, but even in the current normal per se situation, the thing that we are observing is that only important meetings are taking place in person. Otherwise, the meetings are taking place online. So there are many such examples, and the business of online companies have increased. People have gone more towards the trend from buying from home, etc. So the technology adoption has really quickened up as a result of this COVID crisis. So keeping in view of this situation, what is your perspective? So first, over to you, Tahir. What do you believe has been the impact of COVID in terms of the technology adoption? And where do you see us going from here? There will be a new normal or back to the old normal?
No, I think it's a big opportunity for all the businesses, not only businesses side, but all the service sector and all the sides to explore their areas, to explore new ways of doing their business. Like, for example, if we talk about the schools, universities, they have adopted an alternate way of regular classes, right? By having their online portals, by using number of online apps, and number of technology adoptions. And not only that, the businesses are also flourishing in that, and all those who are technology side businesses, they are basically in high demand. Their sale has gone up. Online online things are not easily accessible now, and things are what I can say, they are much more in demand. Even there's a shortage of demand. I was reading some article or some newspapers where the online owners are saying that they don't have some things to, I mean, in their, I mean, the demand is getting so high. So I believe that this side of the area, this side of the business has explored a lot. Now everyone has adopted new things, new ways, and technology is now a next new normal for us.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Tahir, for your input. So, Shayan, how's the life been in the UK? And how the technology adoption has changed? Comparatively, UK already was in a much better shape than many countries in the world, but certainly there have been changes on the technological front. So share some insights with our audience, please.
Yeah, this COVID impacted the business positively as well, like Tahir said. Because when then there's a threat, there's an opportunity as well. And like Tahir said, I totally agree with him that the high tech companies, they have excelled a lot. If you look at the share price of Amazon,
Mhm.
eBay, and there are a number of other online selling stores, their share price has gone massively high. Apart from that, the business which are like I previously mentioned, manufacturing based businesses, they have identified further ways. They have made their online presence better. Now they have proper IT guys to look after for their uh, online sales. And then there's a trend that it'll going to set a new norm, because working from home, which was considered like by very high tech companies, now it's almost everywhere. If you can do your work from home, the I know some of the offices that have actually reduced their rented areas, so that they
Sorry,
all of
I
the
have to ask
employees.
this. Are you working from home?
Yeah, it's a mix for me. I'm working like 2 days in office and 3 days in home. from home. So I'm one of the people who are blessed with this situation.
Bless. Okay. But I get the sentiment where you are coming from. Please carry on.
You know, it's a very good thing, because if you look at on that was on the lighter note, but if you practically look with the business perspective, working from home means the business has not to pay for the electricity, they don't have to pay for the rent, their storage costs reduced, and then their postage reduced, because though most of the things are done here by on online, but still there was a postage expense. And now even our clients that never bother to use their emails and all that stuff, they are more conventional, and they like to get their documents by post. Even now they
I
have
agree.
shifted to
I
the
agree. That brings me to the next point. Now, while we all know these benefits, that it offers more flexibility to the workforce and the business, and like you have rightly mentioned, the fixed costs, the overheads of the businesses are reduced, etc., etc. But what I would like you to think about and share your insights on is how would it impact, in the sense that businesses do not have that kind of control over the workforce working from home, which they would on someone working from their premises, despite all the technology that is at hand. Number one. Number two, a thing that I hear a lot now is, Omer, it's like we are continuously working. When we are working from home, there's like no end to it. The work is constantly coming. So one by one, both Shayan, your and Tahir's feedback. Let me first take Tahir's feedback on these questions. You meanwhile keep your thoughts ready, and we'll be coming back to you in a few minutes. Over to you, Tahir. On these two issues, what do you believe?
Okay. You have rightly pointed out that it has increased our working hours. When we work from office, we have a proper schedule of coming to office. But when we work from home, so there's no end to it, and the reason is there's no end to the work. There's no end to the workload, and we have to work continuously on our weekends and late hours as well. And the expectation of the employer has also increased a lot. So yes, that's because for them, you have your laptop, and if your laptop is with you, then you can do your work whenever the time is available. So there's no, I mean, but I think it has some negative side as well. This has some negative side as well, and the negative side is that you don't have a discipline because of that. If you discipline your life, I mean, that 9 to 6 or 9 to 7, your job is a pretty much disciplined thing. It gives you ample time to spare yourself with your family and everything. So I believe that's a new thing. I mean, that's a negative side of this work from home. But that's
Hang on.
one thing. Hmm.
Is the situation same on just this point in the UK, Shayan? How are you guys coping?
actually, because it's a new situation for everyone, so everyone was struggling initially. Like if I talk regarding with the start of this lockdown, which happens here in March, so the employer and employee both were struggling. Yes, we were under the situation that okay, when we are in office, we are working from 9 to 6, but when we are working from home, there's no the end time for the work. But now the things are getting a bit more clearer. The employees know what the employer's expectation is, and employers know what employer's expectation is. And the second thing is that with the rise of the situation now, there are softwares to monitor your progress. Like initially, our office used to have a manual keying in system, logging in system. Now they have moved to the online system where we can log in from our mobile, so our employer can see that whether I am working or not. If I'm working, then he can call me, and if I'm not working, like I'm on break or I've done my hours for the day, so he'll not going to call me. So the things are developing. It'll take a bit time, but this problem is going to be resolved very soon.
Can you share name of some off-the-shelf softwares for our audience interest?
So one of which we're using that is Blip, and that is a very good software because I've not only our organizations, I've seen number of other organizations that are using that
I
software.
think that's enough.
That
Otherwise, people will think this program is sponsored by them. So, Shayan, the next thing, the second question, why don't you take the lead and then we'll go to Tahir on that. The other aspect, the life of the individuals. While you have mentioned briefly, but your main focus was on the control by the businesses. What about the point that Tahir shared, the life of individuals? You said they will not call you at that time, but if the task is assigned to you, is the same situation in all businesses, or some businesses are still in that phase where the employees think that the day never seems to end for them, the working day that is?
Initially, in the earlier part of the lockdowns, this was happening here because I used to do audits as well, and that gave me the chance to go visit number of organizations in a middle period when the restrictions were lifted. And their view is that initially when the lockdown was started, they were of the view that they were working 9 to 6, but subsequently they have organized themselves. Now they have allocated the hours. The employer know what the hours are. The employer know what they work. They have allocated to them, and in on top of that, because here transport is a very big issue for a lot of people. So if you are not going to your office, so it means for almost 80% of the of the employed persons, you are saving good 2 hours of your day, because it took around 1 hour minimum to reach your workplace. So that if even if you add 1 hour from your traveling to your working hour, I think that gives you a pretty relaxing window to do your
Fair enough.
work at your home.
All the entrepreneurs would be very happy listening to you, Shayan. And I would not suggest you go meet out any employees right now. Anyway, over to you, Tahir. So the second point we were discussing about the businesses, Shayan has shared, and we also discussed that in the pre-program that in some of the countries and more developed economies, the softwares are being used to monitor and all. So how has the situation been in the banking sector in Pakistan, in terms
Well,
of control of businesses when staff is working from home? I know largely most of the people are now back in the office, but there are talks of the second lockdown. So what we have learned from the first one?
well, as you yourself pointed out that the number of businesses has opened, but there are companies, there are banks who are still whose employees are still working from home. So yes, but I have not find anything like any software that like Cheyenne has specified that they have some software where they can identify whether the employee is available or not. I don't see any software so far in my bank or in my circle where they can identify whether the person is available or not. So yes, that's a but definitely it will be here when the situation prevails. When if I'm sitting right now in office, so there's no point that they will invest such kind of a things in any software or any such thing like that. But there are companies, there are areas. Okay, there are companies whose employees are still working, but they are not 100% lockdown. They're non-core and core departments. There are basically they have divided the departments into two sectors. One has core functions and the other has non-core functions. So they have allowed lockdown to those who have non-core function, like back offices, like internal audit, like finance. In some cases, they are allowed to work from home. But those banks branches are open. There's no branch which is closed, and branches people are supposed to come to office, and they are facing so many issues because of that as well. People are having so many there are so many casualties because of that. and but still the core employees are still coming to office. So I have not seen any kind of any such software.
Okay,
uh,
okay, that's great. So I think we can conclude this point by that in different parts of the world, we are going through different phases, and depending on the need, the adoption of technology in terms of establishing the control on employees' performance, etc., is taking place. Now that brings us to the last theme of the day before we go for the Q&A session, and that is the future of the profession. We keep on hearing about the new normal, and just to set the theme for you guys, the thing is this: we all know this that technology adoption was already there. The talks about changing role of professional accountant, particularly from ACCA's platforms, as we pride ourselves in thinking ahead, was taking place. And what COVID has done is perhaps speed up the process. So we know many roles will be automated in the near future. They already are being started getting automated. For example, many of the audit processes, Cheyenne, you were talking that you do audits. So many of the routine processes, even in Pakistan, and I know friends in UK, Australia, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Indonesia, Malaysia, China, Hong Kong, all over the world, it's taking place that processes are being automated. Similarly, the compliance related tasks, be it in taxation field, finance field, etc., they would be automated. So the role of a finance professional, I like to use the term finance professional, not just for a professional accountant, because I think we bring much more to the table. Anyway, the role of the professional finance professional would largely change. So, if you would like to share your thoughts, what are you envisioning would be the changes, and what would be the role of a future finance professional? Over to you, Shaya.
So the role of finance professionals are were evolving pre-COVID as well. But the COVID, like rightly you mentioned, that COVID accelerated that a lot. Like what our discussions are nowadays, that what things that accountants will be doing in the near future, because like initially the accountants were more into the bookkeeping, then making the financial reporting, and then interpreting. So in UK, the most of the things of the at the bookkeeping level, they are in a process of automating. So you just need a mobile to do. You just need a mobile and an accountant. The accountant will set up the background of the software, and everything you just need to scan, and your entries up to the balance sheet will all be done. So in that scenario, and like you said, that in the case of audit, yes, the most of the audit plans, audit programs, they have already been automated. You just need to connect your audit software with your accounting software, and they will the software will give you even materiality, size of sample, what the sampling should have been. So yes, it is evolving. But the questions comes, what finance professionals will be doing. So the talk here is the value addition, like we rightly said, because if you look at the role of the finance professional in an organization, if you look at the sales professionals would be doing everything with the sales. They don't know about much about the construction, the manufacturing side. They don't know about their debtors. They don't know about their creditors. They are just focusing on the number of units they are selling. So if you go to the HR side, HR knows what persons they are hiring, what they are firing. But if you come to the finance side, they knows what the sales are, what the receivables are, what the HR costs, what are the fixed costs, what are the variable costs. So what I'm foreseeing is that the finance professionals would be more coming to the leading role in shape of becoming more CEOs coming from the finance side, and secondly, the CFOs would be having more say in the board. They would be more authority be delegated to the finance professionals, so that they will add value, and that will give a lot of value addition, and that will increase the share price of the big companies as well.
Thank you, Shayan, for your feedback. Though I would like you, Tahir, to start with the question, what will happen with all the bookkeepers and accountants then? Shayan has taken all those roles out and straight away to the CFO and CEO. So shed some light on what will happen to these roles as well. Over to you, Tahir. You need to unmute yourself, please. Hang on, Tahir. Let me unmute you. Okay, go ahead.
Well, book, I'm done. Okay.
You are just
Well,
beginning.
accountant, bookkeeper are no more a bookkeeper in my. Sorry.
No, that was on a lighter note. You said I'm done in another sense, and I said no, you are
Okay.
only beginning.
Hmm.
Okay, over to you.
Okay. Okay. Well, in my point of view, bookkeepers are now accountants. They are basically data analytics. Now we have two roles. One a bookkeeper role. The other one is a data analytics role. Finance profession is now more towards the data analytics role. They are more the companies now want finance profession to produce data analytics to help their business uncover valuable insight within their financials, identify any process improvement that can increase their efficiency and better risk management. Accountants are basically now able to discover trends. They can produce metrics and they can have insight in the data. So they can turn all these things into a pictorial or graphical format for data visualization purpose. This is a way of communicating insight and insight to the organization and supporting informed data driven decision, because all the decisions are now based on data. If the data will be accurate, if the data is accurate and will be accurate, so it will help them to take better decision. And I totally agree with Shayan that CFO would become a leading role. I'm saying that CFO in Pakistan are in our driving force. They are leading the companies. There are a number of examples in my profession in ACCA, where they are leading the companies because they have very good grips on their data, which is the which is a core thing for any kind of a decision making. You see, if you have a faulty data, you just imagine if you have a faulty data, if you have incorrect information, you will take incorrect decisions. If you will take incorrect decisions, your company will be nowhere. If you will have correct data, you will be able to take correct decisions. So data analytics, which is now has some byproducts with the name of big data analysis. This has been used by companies in Pakistan as well, and they are using it for the purpose of their sales staffs. So data is its future is all about data. I have a close liaison with State Bank of Pakistan, that is our regulator. They are more towards data. They want banks to produce each and everything what the banks is doing, right from that you can't even believe that the bank is supposed to submit that how many checks has come to a single branch in a single day. They have to report even that kind of a thing, because they want data, they want analytics, they want to make their decisions, they want to take their decisions on the basis of that data. So data is all about your future, and definitely accountants will play a part, and they are playing the part.
Thank you, Tahir. And I can certainly believe, because you, of all people, should remember, I worked with State Bank of Pakistan to train you guys, the bankers. But
You're
yeah,
right.
on a serious note, thank you for these insight. I totally agree. And it's a proud moment to share with you all that ACCA was one of the first global finance bodies, accounting bodies that began talking about the technology, upcoming tech, artificial intelligence, AI, data analytics, blockchain, big data. And just yesterday, Tahir was with me in a 6-digit program That is a program. Basically, we have MNP Pakistan have it designed, and Helen Brand has really appreciated. ACC Pakistan is doing it. It's focused on increasing the earning capacity of our member. And the first pilot project last year was a huge success. And this year we have almost 1,250 people going through that program. So in yesterday's session, I also shared about this, that these things are very important, and ACCA took lead. I remember we started talking about that 3-4 years back. We included that in our budget proposals from the taxation committee, which I was chairing, and our proposals were put on ACCA global website as a sample for accounting taxation subcommittees all over the world to aspire to. So these are the things we were already talking about. Now, I totally agree. The role of the future finance professional is changing. I use the term value, that what they'll need to do is bring value to the table. That value can be in the form of data analytics and will largely be like Tahir said, but a subjective judgment will still be a very important part of that. Out of all that data, to make sense, call shots, bring the value to table, and that's how the role will be shaping up. And let me also add here, yesterday a question was put, which many people asked me, that with the advent of CPAC, what will be the impact and the opportunities? Let me tell you that quality accountants are in shortage. All the professional bodies together cannot fulfill that demand. All of them, especially with the global initiatives like CPAC taking place, this gap between quality finance professionals and the existing lot available in the market will only increase. And that's where ACCA is playing a leading role through initiatives like 6-Digit, 2 Week, 2 Strong, connecting our members, upskilling their skills, and bringing them to the level where they actually offer the package that the employers are looking as a forward-thinking, technology-adopted, future-ready finance professional. So that brought us to the end of the theme. Before we go into the Q&A session, I think, Shayan, you need to unmute yourself. Thank you. I think
Yes.
before we move forward, now is a good time to quickly enlighten our attendees, most of whom are ACCA members, about MNP, about council, its structure. And I'm very glad to share with you that despite a short notice of under 12 hours, since this message was shared about today's program, and it being on a Friday immediately after the Friday prayer, we have been joined by 45 members so far who have come and gone. And we have been constantly joined by roughly 10 or so members live, and more will be joining so in the last few minutes as well. So I think that's good. Plus, this video will be shared with more members with a more reach. So back to what we were talking about, council, ACCA, MNP. So what is ACCA? Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. It is an association of us all, the Chartered Certified Accountants. And the way it's run is that Global Council is the global body that acts as a sounding board and help devise the global strategy. That is then implemented through the executive team throughout the world. And it becomes very vital because it impacts all of us, and the profession. MNP, unlike council, is not a decision-making body, and neither it a global body. It is focused on individual markets and countries, and is an advisory body only. So what MNP does is MNP advises ACCA Pakistan, ACCA Russia, ACCA UK, etc., on the issues, aspiration, challenges, and possible initiatives as per the feedback of the members for them to take action. All the initiative that you see, especially from our MNP, this comprehensive CPD program, the employer engagement program, 30 days, 100 employers, the 6-digit program to enhance and upskill members and increase their earning capacity, the 2 Week, 2 Strong program for the same thing, the 7-digit program, which now we are launching for the fellow chartered certified accountant who already have 250K income to further increase their income to the 7 digit, the million and above target. And we will achieve that, inshallah, as per the success we have attained before. Our engagement with the with the learning partners of ACCA, our engagement with educational institution to encourage more students to come and join ACCA and become future members, our engagement with the Panelists, through WhatsApp, LinkedIn, social media, in-person initiatives, our engagements with the regulators, our engagements with the tax bar, our engagement with the chambers to enhance ACCA's brand, create more opportunities, our engagement with various other institutions, our engagement with partner institutions like ICMAP, which opened up the doors of audit for us, our engagement with Pakistan Tax Bar, Lahore Tax Bar, Multan Tax Bar, Karachi Tax Bar, which opened up tax practice for our members. This was not required of MLP. All of this was going beyond the call of duty. And why? Because I believe, and I'm glad my entire team believes, that to give back and to contribute is an honor and a duty. It's not a favor to anyone, but a blessing for our own self. And it's not something that we are doing now or during the election. I mean, you guys all know me. For last 12 years, I've been doing that. I've been available to you. My number is a public property. If you don't have that, I'll again repeat, although you can just Google it, 0322421929. 0322421992. And the best way to reach me is always through WhatsApp or LinkedIn, because like I'm in a program or doing a ACC session or CPD session, obviously I can't take call. But I make it a point that as soon as I get free, I do get back to you. And Shayan is a prime example. Shayan just shot me an email and he'll share you the response that he got. And he's not one. All the members do that. All the students affiliates do that. So the reason I told you this is because currently ACCA council elections are taking place. And these are very important. This is your association. And unfortunately, historically, the voting proportion has been very low. So I would urge you that please go through candidates' profiles, look at their track record. Have they been available? Have they been advocating for ACCA? Have they been contributing? Look at their profile, look at their manifesto and agenda, and cast your vote. But please cast your vote. That's what is most important. With that theme, obviously, I'm also one of the candidates who is contesting for the council. And given the chance, I would continue to build upon all the good works that I've shared with you and convey your voice, your issues, your sentiments, your aspirations at the board where it matters. By board, I mean at the level where it matters, the Global Council of ACCA, which helps devise the strategy and which is the platform where these aspirations should be communicated to you. And on my part, when I'm on council, I would be as available and as connected as I was when I was just a member, not even part of the MNP, when I became part of the MNP, when I became chair of the taxation subcommittee, when I became chair of the MNP, when I went on the Global Tax Forum, when I became part of the International Assembly, when I went on the editorial board of Policy Insight. It has not changed. I stayed as connected as the first day because it comes from that faith, that belief that it is an honor and a duty to give back. So thank you guys for joining us on a Friday. Before we open up for the Q&A session, let's quickly hand over for brief feedback or anything our panelists might want to add. So over to you, Tahir, first.
Well, as you have pointed out that the council elections are going are now held, and in the past practice, the voting percentage is very low. So I also encourage all the ACCA members to come forward, cast their vote. There are a number of candidates available. You can vote whatever you want, but do cast the vote. Do cast the vote so that you will have your voice in the council. It's very important. Very important, because without the voice, there's nothing that we can do for Pakistani members. And there are Pakistani members are among the top, one of the top members in the world. So I mean, those who are residing in Pakistan and those who are residing out of Pakistan, both. So do cast your vote to the appropriate candidate. Umar himself is actually contesting this. So do cast your vote so that this turnout will bring some good thing for you, because our voice can only matter when we have the access in the council. So do cast your vote. And thank you so much for this session, for calling me out in this wonderful session.
I feel free to
Uh,
shed some light on what we have been doing. This is your chance.
yes, we are doing a lot. Yesterday, as Umar said, we have attended that 6-digit program. There are a number of programs that we are doing. Our subcommittees are doing. Like my subcommittee is doing. There's a taxation subcommittee who's doing their wonderful work. There is a employability committee who's doing their wonderful work. There are a number of seminars that they are conducting in collaboration with definitely ACCA Pakistan. So there are a number of areas where we are working. The gelling that we have built in the last few years, and is actually basically it will be beneficial for all the members for our community, because the more we can gel, the more we can bring so many ideas, the more we can bring new members, new people on board. We will do a lot of good work. I mean, there are a number of space available right now in our subcommittee, and I am
How has
inviting
it
you.
been different, Tahir? How has it been different from the last few years, the last couple of years? How they
It's
have been
because of
different
you.
from before? Oh
It's
no,
because
it's
of you.
always work, but how it has been different?
You see, difference is created by people. When there are people who want to do something, who has some passion to do something, who has some passion to deliver something, then there's no boundaries and there's no limit for anything. And we have proved this thing in the last 3 or 4 years. There are a number of, I mean, there are record seminars, there are record webinars has been conducted. There, I mean, you can Google, you can go to ACCA website and you can check the recordings available there. You see, there are a number of things. I mean, the area that, I mean, there's nothing. I don't believe that we have left any area, starting from taxation, employability, technology. You won't even believe that we have a subcommittee for differently able people as well. Those who cater the issues of their, I mean, those who cater their issues as well. We have banking subcommittee. I mean, corporate governance banking subcommittee. We have women employment, women subcommittee. So we, this ACCA MNP has addressed, definitely together with ACCA Pakistan, with every aspect of life where we can play a role. And definitely we are playing it, and we have our passion to continue it in the future as well.
I
So
just
I
Thank you,
want
would like to
Tahir.
invite.
Over to you, Shayan.
Yeah, I just want to add, like very rightly, Omer and Tahir said a lot of things about it. But I was a member in 2009, and I've seen the ACCA's progression since 2004, and then after Omer joined the ACCA Islamabad and ACCA Pakistan office, and he became the member, and even some period before that, he was very accessible. He was even I myself attended a lot of seminars that he has conducted, and they were very informative. So and the second thing, that as the council elections are on the way, so putting your right people at the right place brings the organizations, the nations on the
Yeah,
top. So uh,
very right.
no matter to cast vote, just look for their profile, look for their agenda, what they're contesting the vote, and do cast your vote. Vote is your right, and it's an obligation. So you should, so that at least we should have some better turnover in her elections.
Thank you, Shayan. Very well said. And as you guys were mentioning, it's worth sharing that the historical voting proportion in council election has been around 5 to 6%. As per my knowledge, never over 10%. And that is something we need to change, because if we won't be connected, if we won't be involved, how can we convey our aspirations? How can we see the policies being formulated as per the aspirations that we hold? And then later on, if we think something is amiss, then we would only be having ourselves to blame. So I believe ACCA is doing a fantastic work, but the more involvement there is, the better it would be, and there is always room for improvement. So with that, now we have finished the time, but let's take 5-10 minutes to answer the questions that we have to honor our audience. So any question you receive directly, you can also mention. I've received a few questions on LinkedIn and WhatsApp. Some of them are repetitive. So I'll just begin and go through the questions which are individualistic in nature. So the first question is focused on you, Shayan. What are the opportunities for ACCA members in UK? Is it the same like in Pakistan in terms of problems by ICAP, or is it different with ICAW? A tough cookie for you to crack.
Um, the ACCA accountancy profession in here, though, because I have worked in Pakistan as well, and now I'm here for last 2 years. So I do have an idea of, I have a great insight for the Pakistan industry and do have idea of the UK as well. But the accountancy profession in UK, that is very developed. They are because like they are like a doctors in Pakistan. So if you're a businessman or if you're doing anything other than a sole employment income, you cannot live without an accountant, and that is the basic of their whole accountancy structure. And they have developed their profession a lot. As far as the interaction between ICAW and ACC is concerned, no, there is nothing like this like we used to have with ACC and ICAP. But here, the bodies support each other a lot. ACCAs like ICAWs can come. They have written policies, and everyone abide by the policies in the true letter and spirit. But even if you are interested and you can show that what their requirements are, you meet the requirements, they can go beyond their stated policies, and they'll help you out.
Thank you, Shayan. I would add here, having spent almost a decade in UK myself, that in UK, ACCA hold the same rights as ICAW. So it's just another title, nothing more. You have the audit rights, you have the practicing right, and everything. Remember, ACCA is a chartered body in the UK. And even in Pakistan, after our extensive efforts, ACCA members have now all the avenues, be it tax practice, internal audit, advisory, and now after MOU and agreement with ICMAP, even audit of small, medium businesses up to 3 million open to them. The only thing that is a challenge in Pakistan is the external audit, which is frankly a loss leader. But a lot of work is being done on that too behind the scene. However, focus on the skills that are required for future. That has been the theme of today's discussion. We'll build more on this in future. Let's move on to the next question. And the next question is, Tahir, for you. It says, you have mentioned that please vote for council election. I never heard of council election. Do we have anyone on council? How many people can be on council in total, and how many from Pakistan? Okay.
Well, I don't know
You must have
anything
given
about
an impression of being an expert on council.
seriously.
The question
Well,
specially asked for you, by the way.
okay, but I believe that I should take some input from your side as well. But let me complete my thing. yes, there are people who stand from Pakistan, like Omer is one of the candidate from Pakistan, and he is a very good representative from who will actually represent Pakistan. So he is one of the candidate, and I 100% supported him. But there are a number of other candidates who stood up from Pakistan, and if I'm not wrong, there are in total 39 candidates who are contesting. Umar, if I'm not wrong, please correct me. Who are right now contesting
49.
for this 49? Yeah. So I don't know anything about the limit of selection in the council. I think Umar will give an add-on on this because I don't know anything about it. But council is the body who is taking a policy decisions, who have the final decision making power in UK. So it's very important that you people vote for the council election. You must have, if you are an active member, you must have received an email from CES for this election, and the deadline for this election is closing on November 12th, 2020. So still we have time. We still have 6 days left. This is a wonderful opportunity to vote your candidate. Vote your candidate. Please do cast your vote. Otherwise, we otherwise there'll be a blame game. Like we are saying that they are not doing it. Obviously, how can they do it? Because you have not put your representative there. If you're not putting your representative there, then how can you expect they will bring some kind of a result? So you need to vote your candidate from Pakistan so that he will have representation from in council. And Umar is a wonderful candidate for this.
Thank you, Tahir. I'll just clarify what you asked. Currently, the total number of council members is 39. So every year the election is held, and normally one third on average retire and are up for re-election. The duration
Okay.
for council is 3 years. And while candidates can individually be from any country, they represent the global membership base. And our aspiration is to communicate the challenges that we are facing, be your voice, and continue the good work for all the members globally, as well as ensuring that I am available and connected with you, our members, and not just in Pakistan, but across the globe. So I would be obliged if you consider the existing track record is there for last 12 years, and even beyond that, I joined the student society, my first active involvement with the ACCA back in 2003. That's almost 17 years ago. And the profile is there, the deliverance is there, and it's not just words, or it's not just during that during an election I'm coming and making any claims or promises, but these are all the things that have been backed up by the track record. I believe everyone who is up for election have spared time because this is a volunteer role, and I appreciate them for that, and I wish them all the best. As far as I'm concerned, I share my track record with you, and I urge you to please consider me for your votes. If you have already committed with someone, then at least consider for one out of your 16 votes. You have the authority, you have the right to vote up to 16 candidates, any number that you desire. If you think you just want to vote one candidate, you can cast a single vote. If you think you want to vote two candidates, you can cast two votes. So any number up to 16. And I would request you to please consider me for at least one out of 16. And I think that should answer the question. Last question, and then we'll be ending this session today. It says, when do you think Pakistan will come out of FATF grey list? I think, Tahir, you are best suited to answer that question. Although I'm too being an advisor to a few parliamentarians, but you being sitting at the largest public sector bank should answer this.
Pakistan is struggling to get out of it. The next meeting will be held in February 2021. We have already covered the 21 points out of the 27 total points, and we're hopeful that the we will get out of it. And not only Pakistan is in this gray list, there are other countries as well. So just don't focus, or just don't bother with this thing. Okay, I mean, we are the one who is in gray list, and this will bring us to the end of the world. So that's not the thing. Banks are working on it, central bank is working on it, government is working on it. There's no doubt about it. They are tightening the regulations. They are tightening the regulations for the banking sector, and for the other sectors as well. I am sitting in the largest public sector bank, and I'm looking at the attitude of the regulator. It is changing day by day. It is getting tougher and tougher day by day. They are putting so many regulations. They are putting so many things on board. They are more towards the inquiry side, that why the things are happening like that. What is the essence of the transaction? Provide us the required documents. You see, I cannot answer this question long enough. Reason being, the state bank is doing their best, what they can, and they are after us for each and everything.
I
And
think I think you have answered that adequately, Tahir. Thank you so much, and I can back Tahir up on this. That I've seen the kind of visits that are happening, the training, the controls, the check and balances, upgradation
exactly,
of
exactly,
etc. It's been phenomenal. I can share that as an independent professional that the kind of regime that we are seeing in Pakistan does not even exist in many countries.
yes,
Just a
you're
taster
right.
for you. Pakistan is one of the few countries which actually has the strongest KYC because it has the data of the population on a smart card. The NADA is administering the NICOP, National Identity Card,
Very right.
CNIC for overseas Pakistanis and local residents Pakistanis as well. And there are just a few countries I can count on one hand's fingers who have the same facility available. However, we are hopeful you'll hear good news. Any deficiencies that are left would be removed, and hopefully you'll hear good news in February. With that, we come towards the end of today's session. Thank you very much to our esteemed guests, Mr.
Thank you.
Honorable Tahir Sartaj and Shayan,
Thank
for joining us.
Thank you
And
very
thank
much.
you to our audience who joined us today despite a Friday and a short notice of 12 hours. So far, we have had 60 people attending this session. Some people have been coming and going. That's why the number that appears on the live screen is not the same. But I'm able to see the dashboard, and that's the figure we are getting. We will also be having this video publicly available. So please feel free to share it in your circles so more people can learn from it and gain CPD. Remember, there's also unverifiable CPD units which can be claimed on watching this video. So we will continue this effort, and I'll end this with a lighter note. One of my friends called me the other day and said, "Mashallah, Omer, you are doing so much work, sessions and all and everything." And I smiled and I said to him that, you know what? I've been doing that for over 10 years now, almost 12 years. You are only noticing it because I'm contesting the council election. So we will continue doing this. We will continue bringing this for you. And please get in touch, stay connected. Have a very good day and a fantastic weekend.